Well, hello and welcome once again to New Thought Talk. I am the Reverend Steve Walling from the Spiritual Awareness Center in Madera, and that's important today, as you'll find out as our show goes on. But I want to welcome you to New Thought Talk. This is where we share the philosophy of New Thought, which includes many different denominations: science of mind, religious science, unity, home of truth, and various others. And I want to tell you that as we have gone through our shows, and we will continue to go through our shows, it is my heart's desire and intention to share a philosophy that if you take, and I promise you, if you do take this and put it into practice in your life, it will literally change your life in ways that you can't even begin to imagine. Now, there is a caveat to that. It means that ultimately you are end up being totally responsible for who and what you are, but once you can wrap your mind around that, you understand that there is a presence and a power for good in the universe, and you can put it to use in your life. You can be a creative force that will change not only what goes on within your life, but the lives of those around you. And that's a pretty exciting thing. It's a pretty powerful thing. And so today, it is my, along the lines of sharing this philosophy, it is my intense pleasure to introduce my guest, and she is the Reverend Kathleen Scott, and she's from the Spiritual Awareness Center also, but her center is located in Visalia. Good morning, Kathleen, and welcome to the show. I'm so glad that you could join us today.
It's my pleasure.
So you are with the Spiritual Awareness Center down in Visalia.
Yes, I am.
And you've been there how long now?
9 years.
9 years. And you were telling me you were at a church before that time?
In Costa Mesa, California, at the Center for Spiritual Discovery. The senior pastor there is Reverend Jim Terrell, and I did all my studies under him.
Did you?
Yes.
Okay. So we had a chance to talk a little bit ahead of time. And I forewarned you I was going to ask you this question. Give me your history. What brought you to religious science? What brought you to New Thought? How did it affect you? And give us a little clue as to the journey, the path that you have walked.
I'm going to try to give you the Reader's Digest version since it was complicated, but I grew up in fundamentalist Christianity, singing with a rock and roll gospel choir in the Pentecostal churches and loving it. But I eventually could not agree with the certain amount of judgment that was being dished out. And then I became a radical feminist. So I would bounce from one extreme to the other and landed somewhere in the middle, very confused. But in the meantime, I was a professional singer, an opera singer. I moved to New York City at one point after completing a university education and to pursue my career. And I was sort of anti-religion, I'd have to say, even though I was hired by many different churches to sing in big programs and so forth. When I left New York City at age 40, I was in the midst of a midlife crisis. I quit singing professionally, at least in New York City. Moved in with my mother after 23 years of independence, which is always challenging, in a religious experience in itself. And I came into a serious crisis of who was I if I wasn't a professional singer, because I had been a lead singer in many opera companies around the world. And I was invited to attend the Center for Spiritual Discovery in Costa Mesa, California, by a person, and I said, all I need is more confusion about God and religion. So I initially turned her down, but ultimately she was so charming and funny and earthy. We became good friends. I went into the church, and outside there was a poster, a picture of Einstein with his hair going in all directions. And on the poster it said, imagination is more important than knowledge. And this was sitting outside at the entrance of the church. I said, what kind of church is this? Where's Jesus and the saints and all those guys? But the very first Sunday, I was really sitting at the back waiting for it to be a cult. And it turned out to be quite delightful, and something really spoke to me. And so I began to attend regularly. Then I started taking some classes. It was a big disappointment to me to find out that I had to take responsibility for the quality of my own consciousness. But I decided to give it a shot. And I was very angry and confused and had many relationship issues and children issues and so forth. So I began to address those through this teaching with great success. And eventually, I was able to transform every area of my life by applying the principles of the science of mind, including a serious health problem that I had and thought I was going to die from, which instead I experienced a healing. And I had some very interesting, what I would call mystical experiences that in which was revealed, I guess that's the best word,
Okay.
the unity of the universe, the oneness of humanity, and the oneness with the earth and plants and insects and flowers and everything. Very tremendous impact it had on my life. And I think it was either Kabir or Hafiz, one of those mystical gentlemen, who said, I saw this for a thousandth of a second, and it made me its servant for a lifetime. So the beauty of my experience in this period of transformation, I would say inner transformation, left me thinking that the best thing that I could do with the rest of my life would be to teach this science. And I decided to become a minister. So I did all the classwork and all the training, and eventually I started writing songs. I had been a trained musician with a bachelor's and master's degree in music, but I began to write songs specifically expressing some of the principle, the beauty, and the experience of coming into that awareness of unity with God, with all. And so I began to make CDs and sell them, and that's part of my ministry as a music ministry. But I've been a pastor now for 15 years altogether.
Well, that's great.
It's kind of a long story.
Well, it could be longer. We will
We
see
hope
that
it
it's
will
going to
be.
be a lot longer. You betcha. But I wanna go back just a little bit, because your story is a story that I'm sure that you have seen played out in your church over and over again. I know I've seen it played out in our church, where people come in from a more of a mainstream theological background, whether it's fundamentalist Christianity or one of the other many different religions. But making that transition, and particularly coming from a fundamentalist Christian background, and you said when you first came in, what your antenna were up. Was this, what kind of a cult was this? How was that transition for you? How did that work for you? Or
Well, yeah, you're right. We have people from all kinds of backgrounds in our center. We have Buddhists, we have a lot of Jewish people, we have Catholics, ex-fundamentalists, we've got Hindus, we've got everybody. So it's a wonderful mix. And one of the great things about our teaching is that we honor all teachings, all paths to enlightenment. Um, Now, what was your question again? How did I deal with that?
For you, yeah. How did okay, coming from a background that said, your salvation was based on this particular thing, to a concept that said you're responsible for the life that you lead, and you can lead a better life.
Initially, I'll tell you what, I heard a story
Okay.
the very first Sunday that I was there, and it goes like this. My life story in 5 short chapters. Chapter 1, I'm walking down a street. There's a dark, scary hole right in front of me. I see it, and I fall right into it. It's not my fault. It takes me forever, but I get out right away. Chapter 2, I'm walking down the same street. I fall right into the same dark, scary hole. It's not my fault. I get out of it eventually, but it takes me forever. Chapter 3, I'm walking down the same street. I fall right into the hole. It is my fault. I get out of it right away. Chapter 4, this time I walk around the dark, scary hole. Chapter 5, I walk down a different street. I just related so much to that because I could see patterns in my life that had appeared over and over and over again. And I wanted to make a serious change, but I didn't know how. I had been to psychologists in my life. I'd suffered through a lot of trauma and drama, and everybody could explain why things were so messed up, but they could not explain how to change them. This was the first philosophy I had found that had a practical way to transform your life. And so I decided to take a class, even though I was suspicious. My antenna was always up in case it turned into a cult. I took a class on, what was it called? Oh, intimacy. And I thought that this was going to help me change my relationship, the man in my life, of course. But of course, it had nothing to do with it. It had to do with your relationship to yourself. Well, that made me very angry, but I went ahead and plowed through it. And I continued to take courses and found more and more that I had created these situations with my accumulated beliefs and attitudes and thought patterns. And then I had to now do work on transforming those. And first I had to find out what they were and why they were having such a destructive effect in my life. So I actually got this gave me something to actually work on. Instead of just pie in the sky by promises, and keep on suffering because it builds character, which I've been told. I have this wonderful affirmation that I kind of molded from one of Ernest Holmes, Dr. Ernest Holmes, the founder of our philosophy. I have learned everything I ever needed to know from suffering. From now on, my new teacher is joy. And so I began to work with that idea. And little by little, over time, with much personal work and meditation and yoga and study, I eventually was able to make that statement sincerely that my new teacher is joy.
Oh, that's tremendous. But it does. It takes the responsibility of blame that we used to put on all those things out there. Our friends, our boss, our teachers, our parents, or whatever. I mean, we lose our ability to lay that blame out there. And at first, for me, that was an issue. I mean, I've got my story, I've got my stuff, and it's somebody's fault out there that has made me who I am. And then one day, for me, it was, you are responsible for creating the life that you live. And if you've been living a life irresponsibly in ignorance, it's still your responsibility.
Right.
And I went, oh, what a powerful thought. So you came to this philosophy, you started taking classes. Where did the transition from just being a student to the desire to share? I mean, how did that come about? Because ministry it's a calling. I mean, this is
Definitely
important.
Well, I had a series of what you might call mystical experiences.
Okay.
I was not able to breathe. I had a lung disease that was progressive and getting worse and worse, and pretty much I figured my number was up. I used to go outside in the backyard and try to breathe early in the morning. Somehow it was a little easier. And in the backyard there was a dead tree. It was black and gnarled and obviously very old. And one day at dawn, I was out there trying to breathe, and I saw this little white thing on that tree. Tiny, tiny white speck. It was so pure. And I went to look at it, and it was a blossom. And I said, what the heck? Is this tree coming back to life or what? And pretty soon there were more. Every day I went out to inspect this tree. And before long, the whole tree came back to life. And I'd been living there for a number of years, and this was the first time this happened. So it was an apricot tree, and pretty soon leaves and blossoms, and there were wasps buzzing around, and there were all kinds of life was happening in this tree. And I started to eat the apricots once they came. Every morning I would eat the fresh apricots, and I had this interesting experience of me coming back to life as I observed the life force in the tree. And I almost felt like it was showing me that I was to live. I don't know how else to explain it, but I had a very profound experience watching spirit or the life force or God working through nature with intelligence and amazing prosperity of richness of the life force. I don't know how else to explain it. It was a very serious experience for me. When I came to still be alive on January 1st of that year, or the next year, I wrote a song called Another Chance. And I recorded it, and I felt well. it was an interesting journey of healing that I went through. And the doctors had been giving me more and more steroids and this and that, and not helping. And I was completely off all of that, breathing normally, and feeling more alive than I had in years and years. So I felt that I was spared, you might say, or I was shown this renewal in order to do something beneficial with my life.
That's, you know, that's a wonderful story. And we've heard this story told over and over again when people really begin to understand the dynamics of understanding that there is a divine presence that is available to everybody.
Right.
That's great. And what a powerful point to take and leave this segment with as we go to our first commercial break. We'll see you when we come back. Thank you.
Mike Briggs Properties has a very special historic property for sale that can be used as a home or as a business. This classic California craftsman historical home is located in the Tower District, Fresno High area. The interior ambiance displays a heyday of craftsman aesthetics, substance, strength, symmetry, and casual grace. Elegantly appointed mahogany and oak structural elements integrate form and function in a harmonious flow from room to room in this two-story, 4,500-foot home. The property also includes a nearly 800-foot two-bedroom apartment above the garage. This property is well suited for a professional office type of business or for a large family or combined living and workspace. The lot included with this property is park-sized with plenty of room for expansion or as a parking lot big enough to support a commercial business. For more information on this property, call Mike Briggs Properties at 486-6758. Mike Briggs Properties, 486-6758.
Welcome to Jocelyn's Porch. We have been doing this for a year. My memory of the porch is that it's very much where women rule. It was almost a throne.
Going like that.
I'm circular. See, Southern folks are circular. What you said, preach. You want me to preach? Love sharing those things and those things that'll make you stronger and better and go for.
Ain't gonna let nobody turn me around. Turn me around. Hey, turn me around. Ain't gonna let nobody.
Okay, no more drama. To myself, I said self. Myself said yeah.
That was a good one.
That was good, girl. I'm good. I'm hoping you become the best reflection of yourself. And what was that? The one God intended all along. We're going to get there together, I promise you. Thank God for the hope. Amen.
You can advertise your business, your product, or your event on Central Valley Talk, the Valley's only internet television station. Several of our programs are also picked up on Dish and cable networks. For the best advertising dollar, call Central Valley Talk at 579-1360. This segment is brought to you by Blimpies in the Tower District. For all of your lunch and dinner needs, go to Blimpies in the Tower District.
CentralValleyTalk.com.
Welcome back to our second segment this morning, and my guest today is the Reverend Kathleen Scott from the Visalia Spiritual Awareness Center, and when she comes on screen, we'll have her banner put underneath for people that would like to know how to contact her. Kathleen, when we were, just as we finished up the last segment, you were sharing with us how you had experienced this wonderful healing from this lung condition, and you know, healing in our philosophy is something that is very commonplace because we understand this connection with our source, with God, that you know God is within us. If every part of us is completely some part of the divine, then there's nowhere where God is not. And if you start with that premise, then it's not a matter of something that has to be done to us, but rather something that is within us that's there to be expressed, and that is that life force, that life factor. You are a minister of religious science. You did time, I'm sure, maybe you're even still an active practitioner. You have practitioners at your center there?
We sure do.
Okay.
Yeah.
They run a pretty busy business of seeing your congregation. Do they provide professional services for people outside the congregation?
Yes, they do. Mhm.
They do.
You can consult them. Prayer practitioner is just a person that has been trained for a number of years to know the absolute truth about you, no matter what your condition may be,
Mhm.
and to speak their word in an affirmative manner, claiming a certain good on your behalf, knowing that all good is available. You could say the gift is God, the allness of being.
Mhm.
If you don't like the word God, that which is life force everywhere. And to know that the wholeness that God is available at all times if we identify enough with that wholeness rather than identifying with a sickness, for instance, to contemplate the quality of wholeness and to claim it and to embody it and then to believe it on a deep enough level where nothing in your thinking contradicts that belief in wholeness. That's the fundamental, you could say, technique of speaking one's word on behalf of someone that is suffering from the appearance of something less than wholeness. So our practitioners are trained diligently in that ability. And we've had many people recover completely from things that normally thought of as terminal.
Yeah. And we see that throughout the New Thought philosophy, and that is one of the cornerstones of the philosophy. And it just it's just such a wonderful thing. I mean, it just excites me because for people that get caught up in conditions and effects and they end up in the system and they're told you're at the court of last resort and there's no hope, and then to find that there's something beyond hope, that there is a truth, there is a reality that when we can open ourselves up to that reality, and this philosophy, New Thought, religious science philosophy, has people that can help us to open ourselves up, and that's as we see people come to this philosophy. And you know what? You were talking about honoring all religions at your center, and this is the thing. I can be a Jew and I can come to a practitioner. I can be a Hindu and I can come to a practitioner. I can be a Catholic and come to a practitioner. It makes no difference, and it's there for each and every one of us, and that's a powerful thing.
It is very powerful.
Yeah.
In my center, I emphasize seeing beyond the lampshade to the light within. So it doesn't matter what you call yourself or even what has gone before in your life. One of my favorite quotes from the Science of Mind textbook is, principle is not bound by precedence, which simply means that we're dealing with God, with spirit, with the infinite. And it doesn't know you as apart from itself. It knows you as an expression of itself.
That's right.
And therefore, whatever has happened previous to this moment, it's not bound by that in any way. It's not limited by it. And the only thing that is limiting you from experiencing a greater good is your own thought, your own belief system, your own conditioning. And you have to simply begin to condition yourself to think more highly of yourself, think of yourself as a sacred and precious and divine being. Like the wave is to the ocean, so we are to the infinite. And once we understand that it's not like the wave gets up and packs a little suitcase and says, I'm out of here. It is made of ocean. It is powered by the ocean. It is shaped by the ocean. So we are never separated from the infinite, no matter what belief system we may have adopted in the process of our experience here as human beings. We're still connected to the one ocean of being. And so we're trained, and I am very adamant about this, to honor all beings as sacred and to recognize that sacredness and to treat people as such, including ourselves. So that how else are we going to bring about a transformation of world consciousness if we can't treat someone, regardless of their behavior or belief system, as just as sacred as we are?
That's right.
So I have a goal for the human race, and that is complete enlightenment. in this century. I don't stop at the little goals.
No, and
Why
you know,
not go for the best?
and you know what, Ernest Holmes, he had that same goal in his readings. In his belief, and he relayed this in his teaching, and he related in the things that he wrote. He believed that this philosophy was a growing philosophy, and he believed that it was a philosophy that was going to change the world in a very positive way, and he believed that there is some point in time where enough people will, and I'll use the phrase, see the light, metaphorically speaking, but in reality, and have a transcendent level of consciousness where you will begin to see a changed world. And you know what? We don't need governments to do that. We don't need armies or planes, or we don't need, we just need people, one person at a time, one consciousness at a time, open themselves
Right.
up.
I agree with you.
And that's another one of those wonderfully empowering and powerful things.
I think this philosophy has gone out into the world, perhaps not under our particular name, Science of Mind,
Mm-hmm.
always, but Dr. Wayne Dyer, for
Yeah.
instance, is on PBS constantly teaching the same principles.
Mm-hmm.
Oprah Winfrey
Yes.
had spirit painted across her set and had Dr. Michael Beckwith on many times, who is a pastor of a center down in Culver City.
Mm-hmm.
And it's gotten out via a lot of people. Deepak Chopra is fundamentally, we're all on the same page. So these great spiritual leaders are teaching the same thing we are, not by that name,
No.
but it's the same principle.
Yeah, and even non-spiritually, sort of movies like The Secret, which became very popular, movies like What the Bleep. There's scientists like Greg Braden and Bruce Lipton and stuff that are teaching scientific principles. And it's amazing. Well, it's really not amazing, but how science is finally catching up with us. It's so many different things.
Not just us, but the early rishis, the
Yes.
early sages.
Uh-huh.
If you go back into ancient Hindu teachings
That's right.
and Buddhist teachings and so forth, you can find this principle of what we're fundamentally teaching here throughout all the great spiritual teachings. If you look hard enough, it's there.
That's right.
So truth is one.
Uh-huh.
And I have a fascination with other cultures because of having been an opera singer. I studied a lot of different languages. I lived in different countries. And so I wanted to study anthropology.
Mm-hmm.
And part of my anthropological studies had to do with what is common to all peoples, no matter whether they're in an industrialized civilization or a primitive situation.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that's absolutely common to every human society, one of the things is music. They have to have music. They have to have some form of dance and art.
Mm-hmm.
And they all have a belief in a superior power and an infinite power. One power, they relate to it in different ways,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes through fear and a desire to placate.
Mm-hmm.
But they all recognize that there is one life force. They call it by different names. And they realize that we're in relationship to it.
Mm-hmm.
And according to the relationship we have with that power, in our thinking, in our minds, in our belief systems, our lives are either better or worse.
Very true.
So it's fascinating to me to
Yeah.
study all these different teachings.
And to see the thread that comes down through history, from ancient Greek philosophers to of course the Master Jesus, Buddha, Lao Tzu, Confucius. You look at some of the Native American shamans that have gained some level of prominence, where you were able to read their teachings and stuff, and it's just it's just exciting. I mean,
It is.
it's like we're on the cutting edge of reality. And
The strange thing is that the highest seller of all poets in our century is a 13th century Sufi mystic, Jalaluddin Rumi.
Yeah.
I find that fascinating
Mhm.
because he was a deeply spiritual man. He was a mystic,
Mhm.
and his philosophy is the same one that you can find in all the great spiritual teachings, and it's completely pertinent to the present.
Yes, it
It
is.
is absolutely wonderful. One of my very favorite things that he said was far out beyond uh, ideas of wrongdoing and right doing, there is a field. I'll meet you there. When the soul lies down in that grass, ideas, language, even the phrase each other doesn't make any sense. And that's really kind of sums it up. I think people are looking for some sort of spiritual path that takes them out beyond ideas of wrong and right and guilt and fear, etc., and gives them the deep experience of oneness with all.
Very good. All right, it is time on that note to take our next break. Boy, this has been a great show, so hang on. We'll see you on the next segment.
America's Sub Shop has arrived in the Tower District. Blimpie's is the best place to get delicious sandwiches, salads, baked goods, and smoothies at reasonable prices. You won't believe the great value of Blimpie's $5 combo deals. The fresh baked bread and big bowl taste will bring you in, and the friendly service and great prices will keep you coming back. A Blimpie sandwich is great on your lunch break or as a healthy meal for the whole family. Try Blimpie's today, located directly across from the Tower Theater. We know you'll love it.
Welcome to Voice of the Valley. I am your host, Kathy Wilcox, and two of Kathy's favorite things are going to be featured on the show today. Number one is money. Number two, alcohol! My first guest.
On that famous thoroughfare with their noses in the air.
I have to get up. I have to show you this dress because I think it was made for me. Doesn't this just scream Maryland? I'm dressed in my Christmas parade outing, as you can see, right here.
Number one selling wine from Argentina.
Argentina.
Kathy Wilcox, Voice of the Valley, Wednesdays at 2 on Channel 43.
Hi, Bill Carmichael here, manager of Valley Gold Mine Fresno. I'd like to tell everybody that we've relocated to the Tower District at 1212 North Van Ness Avenue. If you have any broken or unwanted jewelry you'd like to get top dollar for, give us a call at 559-970-8660. Also, we're on the web at www.valleygoldminefresno.com. If you're the type that likes to entertain at home, we have some gold parties that we can tell you about. And also, if you have children in schools and they have trouble raising funds, we have a great fundraiser that works as well. Once again, my number is 559-970-8660. Thank you.
This segment is brought to you by David Parker from the law offices of Parker, Kern, Nard, and Wenzel.
CentralValleyTalk.com.
Well, welcome back again to our third segment. My guest today is the Reverend Kathleen Scott from the Visalia Spiritual Awareness Center. And Kathleen, during the break, we were talking about Bruce Lipton. He's a scientist, and you were telling me that you're going to have a film at your center. And I want you to tell us about that, but I'm using that kind of as a segue and introduction. Tell me about your center. I am a stranger. I'm new to Visalia, but I feel called to get in touch with spirituality. I look you up in the phone book. I get your address or whatever. From that point, give me kind of a little tour as to what my experience will be.
Well, we are located at 117 South Locust Street in downtown Visalia. We're not a church with a steeple. It looks kind of like a bookstore art gallery from the outside. We are located between Main Street and Asequia Streets on Locust. Mm-hmm. And we have a real art gallery inside of our center because we have an artist who's 99. She's about to turn 100. That she is still teaching classes, throwing parties, and creating art. We wanted to honor her. And also another artist who passed not too long ago by the name of Judy Mitchell. The 99-year-old is Marjorie Brandon. So we call it the Brandon Mitchell Gallery. And right now we have an art show showing Dr. Norman Harris and Sandra Harris, his wife's works. Mm-hmm. Fabulous artists, world-class artists. We also have a little bookstore there that sells everything from A to Z as far as New Thought teachings, and also you can find the texts of the Bhagavad Gita, of the Old and New Testaments, a variety of different spiritual scriptures. We have services at 10:30 on Sunday mornings, at which we have a three-piece top-notch band consisting of a pianist, a bass player, and a drum. They can play anything from classical music to the best jazz in the world. We have them every single Sunday, and we also have a guest artist, some singer or instrumentalist of a variety of different styles, everything from hokey Dixieland group to a classical cellist, etc. We have concert series. Currently, we're featuring a flautist, a world-class flautist by the name of Tracy Harris, and she brings in a harpist. The conductor of the Tulare County Symphony plays keyboards for her, and she has a whole flute orchestra that she brings. There's nothing like hearing 17 flute players play wonderful songs, and she's our current featured artist. She has a whole series of concerts. That the next one will be in November. We normally have a summer movie series, and so this coming Friday, we will be showing Dr. Bruce Lipton's Biology of Belief Light. I guess that means he's taken out a lot of the medical language that's confusing to people and gives his demonstration proving that when you change your thought, you change your entire experience on a cellular level. So beside that, we have another concert coming up in September. This is two people who have played very well known in the New Thought circles. Their names will come to me in a minute. But they consist of keyboard and Tibetan bells and all kinds of wonderful meditative instruments. That'll be the second Sunday in September. So we have a lot of things going on. We have currently classes on Tuesday evenings and Wednesday mornings, same class called the Principles of Successful Living. We have classes year-round. In the summer, we do lighter fare. I teach a class called Clear Your Clutter with Feng Shui, but it's a little Feng Shui light. And I usually teach it so that I'll clear some more of my clutter.
There you go.
We have a lot of fun doing that class. I've also taught The Artist's Way. It has to do with accessing and expressing the creativity that resides within all people and getting rid of blockage to that expression. So we have things going on constantly. We have Tai Chi, both beginner and intermediate, on Monday evenings. Yoga, that is gentle form of the exercise version of yoga on Saturday mornings. And we have kirtan meditation on Wednesday evening, led by Kevin Yee, who plays a variety of Indian instruments and leads people in some of the ancient chants. He's an expert in that area. So he and his wife and another friend of theirs bring these various instruments, including a stringed instrument, which I'm afraid I don't know the name of. It's an Indian name, but it's absolutely gorgeous. So that's Wednesday evening, 6:30 to 7:30. We have a little bit of everything going on there.
Wow.
Everything good.
That's great. Sounds like it. And for your Sunday celebration, I walk through the doors. What's my first feeling and impression?
High energy.
High energy.
Yeah. In fact, we have our band open with something out of the jazz repertoire.
Okay.
So there's no dirges.
No dirges?
No dirges, no sad music. They are expert musicians, really top notch. So you'll hear people talking. It's not like a big party. People are getting their coffee and coming into the sanctuary and hugging, a lot of hugging going on, a lot of greeting going on, fabulous music. When we start with some congregational songs. Sometimes they're songs I've written. Sometimes I'm using songs by some other wonderful songwriters that have come along in the last 50 years, probably the last 20 years, and have written some great, wonderful songs that prepare our consciousness and open the heart. Music is a great heart-opening device.
Kathleen, and we talked about this before the show started. A couple of years ago, when I was first becoming the senior minister at the Spiritual Awareness Center in Madera, Kathleen was so kind to take some of her time and kind of mentor me in her are in how to be a senior minister. And one of the key things that she shared with me was the importance of music in the celebration service. And boy, I got to tell you, that was of a lot of advice I got from a lot of people. That was definitely a very key advice, and I want to thank you again for that. And I know as you shared with me then and you shared today, obviously music is a big part of your celebration. And in my understanding, isn't that what lifts the heart? I mean, the message, the lesson that educates us, and it can be uplifting, but it's the music, the energy of the music that really uplifts the soul in that Sunday celebration. And that's, that you provide that for your congregation, you provide that for people. That's really tremendous.
I had to talk my board of trustees into letting me hire professional musicians because I believe that musicians should be paid. And one of the ways you honor the quality of the music that you have is to pay them.
Yeah.
A lot of people think that, well, they should just do it out of the goodness of their heart. I think you should pay them, and they'll do it out of the goodness of their heart. So it took me about a year to put together this particular group of musicians, but they are a high caliber character. They're always there. They're on time. If they have to be out of town, they provide a substitute that's of the same caliber musicianship. They've been there for 8 years, this same band. And they are just, it's so wonderful. Our congregation just loves them. Loves them, loves them, loves them. The board can't stop voting to give them raises and to write letters of appreciation. So it's really made a huge difference in the quality of the emotional experience in the service. I mean, it's wonderful to lecture. And supposedly people like my sermons a lot.
Well, I think.
But, intellectualism is good, and then to have some fun is also not a bad thing. Yeah.
Now, I want to shift the focus a little bit. We talked about what goes on inside the center, but you shared with me back two years ago when I was asking you about how your center worked within the community of Visalia. You shared with me what I thought was just a wonderful process that you have involved with. Tell me, tell our audience what it is that you did and what you're currently doing, because that's, that to take it outside the center is really what it's all about.
Well, yes, we wanted to be of service to the community. I mean, it's wonderful to work on your own life and healing the various issues that need healing. But we said, let's not have this just be about me, me, me. Let's go out and see if there's something we can do in our community to make a better world. So we found a group that was feeding homeless teens lunch every day for 5 days a week. And so I asked them, is there some way in which we can support this? And they said, yes, we need people to bring food for about 25 to 30 teens. Some sort of hot lunch. And I said, okay. I went back to my board and said, let's start a program where we at least take one day and provide hot lunch for these kids. They said, let's do it for all 5 days.
Whoa.
I said, okay, let's do it. Because they had tried to get other churches to participate without any luck. So we said, we're going to do it for 5 days a week, and then you can use us as a guilt factor in getting some of the other churches to do it. So we did. Our congregation, various members would sign up. We would make sure the food got there at the right time. The teens were fed, and one of the people said, you're the only group that doesn't try to convert people to something. You just bring the food, you're cheerful about it, it's always good quality, and you're not trying to twist anybody's arm to convert to a particular religious thing. So we had many people start to attend our center as a result of that. And they gave us a big plaque of appreciation. We did it for quite a long time until that teen center closed. We serve the community in a variety of other ways. We allow the Tulare County Symphony, for instance, to have its youth contest, solo instrumentalists give their recital, the winners of the youth contest. They give their recital there. We opened our center for something called the Trevor Project, which is a project that helps teens who are gay or lesbian and tries to prevent them from committing suicide. So it's a wonderful project. In fact, Anderson Cooper recently went on Jeopardy and won $50,000 for that particular project, the Trevor Project. So they meet regularly and do workshops in our center. we were able to open our center for rehearsal for the Central Valley Children's Choir, which is actually out of Fresno, but they couldn't find any place to rehearse, so they came down to Visalia and rehearsed in our center, and then gave a lovely concert as a way of saying thank you. So shared it with our congregation. So they rehearsed there for a number of years. So we do things, a variety of things. Let's see, there are many Central Valley type projects. One, I'm trying to remember the name of it, the Lisa Project, which had to do with becoming aware of child abuse and its effects, and paying attention and being willing to work to help these children.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of different ways in which we try to be of service to the community by allowing them to use our center for little or nothing. And we feature art shows. We change out the art every 2 months, and we show quality art in our center. And the people really know us as a place that encourages the creative arts and the helping arts.
That's tremendous. And so, if you're down Visalia Way, there is a center there that is pretty tremendous. And we'll have a little bit more with Reverend Kathleen after this commercial break. I'll see you then.
Hi, I'm Greg Rude, a local real estate agent working with London Properties. You might be thinking about buying or selling a property right now, or maybe you just have a question about real estate. I'd love to help you with that. Give me a call at 352-7716, and I can answer any questions that you might have. Maybe you've got a property that's upside down. Maybe you're interested in buying a bank foreclosure and have a question about that. Or maybe you just like someone to show you some houses that you're interested in or have a question about a particular property. Once again, give me a call. My name's Greg, 352-7716, and I'd love to help you. Thanks.
This just in. Tower District houses are selling for as little as $300 per month. If you have a job and decent credit, you can own your own home. If you can come up with a down payment, you can own a home a lot cheaper than you can rent, and your payment will never go up. Also, you could deduct most of your house payment from your income taxes. If you'd like to lock in your monthly house payment at $300 to $500 per month for the next 30 years, call Mike Briggs Properties, 486-6758. Mike Briggs Properties, 486-6758.
Hi, I'm Jason Gobelli, and I'd like you to take just a minute and ask yourself a couple of questions. Are your needs being met in the real estate business? Are you getting all the latest technology that you need to be productive in this market? Are you getting the benefits that you deserve? Do you have enough leads? Are you truly making enough money for all that hard work and time you've been putting in? If not, you might want to give me a call and we can set up a confidential interview. At Connect Realty, we're one of the fastest growing companies around. There's tons of tools and benefits for agents, like freerealtor.com showcase listings, free unlimited virtual tours, free websites with nationwide IDX. We have free virtual back office, free compliance coordinators so that you can be paid right away. There's health insurance, life insurance, and the best part is the commissions start from 80% and go to 95%. And we have one of the best retirement plans in the whole industry. Now, I cannot possibly go over everything in just this short minute. Go to the website, careers@connectrealty.com, or feel free to call us at the toll-free number, or you can even call my personal line, 559-307-0550. I look forward to talking to you. Thanks.
This segment is brought to you by Corrine Hatfield of Platinum Mortgage. If you are thinking of purchasing a new home or refinancing an existing home, call Corrine Hatfield at 917-7111.
CentralValleyTalk.com.
Well, welcome back to our fourth and final segment. And I mean, time just flew by today, and we went long in a couple segments, so this last segment will be on the short end. But once again, my guest for today is the Reverend Kathleen Scott from the Visalia Spiritual Awareness Center. And as we went to the break last time, we were talking about how your center has involved itself in the community there in Visalia. And that is, as I shared with you, my one of the things that's so important to me as I work through this program and bring ministers in is to spotlight their centers so that people like you that are sitting out there watching can see that we're more than just a building, we're more than just a Sunday talk, that there are classes, there are events, and there is outreach in the community that, and I can say this pretty much categorically, I have never seen a New Thought Center of any kind that has attached strings to the service that they provide to the communities that they're in. Because we don't believe that that we've got to save you from yourself or anything else. We believe that you are personally empowered, and when the time is right, the door's going to open to you, and you will find your way in. And the fact that we happen to make the way easy to get to is just one of the benefits of doing what we do. But Kathleen, in your experience in religious science, and we've talked about healing, and we've talked about celebration stuff, and for you it was you have this concept of changing the world. Now I want to share with you a little bit. I stand up on Sunday as I share my Sunday lessons, and many times I have shared these words with my congregation, and that is, I truly believe that we can change the world right here from Madera, and I know that you truly believe that you can change the world right there from Visalia by creating that light, by empowering people, because the people in your congregation, they touch other people, and when you teach somebody, when you share this philosophy with somebody, and isn't it wonderful that when you share the philosophy with somebody and you see the lights go on, and you see them take ownership of who they are, and they share that. I want to thank you for the service that you provide and for your community, because it's really great. Is there anything that you'd like to share in particular as we close up today?
Well, I'd like to just have everybody know where we are and where to find us. I also do free counseling.
Okay.
And it's a choice I've made for people that occasionally need long-term counseling, that are stuck in the victim role, that have had some very serious and traumatic experiences. And I've found that what I become is a spiritual mentor. It's not a traditional counseling where we analyze why and how a person got so unhappy and so messed up. But what I show them is the way out. One of the greatest things about our teaching is it's very clean. When I was taking my oral exams to be a minister, I was asked, why be a minister in this teaching? I said, because it's the cleanest spiritual teaching I know of. There's no dogma, there's not a lot of ritual, there's not a lot of crazy opinions and infighting and who's right and who's wrong. It's a beautiful spiritual teaching that works. It's practical. It's also mystical in the sense that you are recognizing a divine presence as everywhere present and available to all. And it has transformative power. It works if you work it, as they say, I think in AA. And so what I do is I teach people how to work it, how to apply it in a practical way in their lives. And I really love to see the transformation that occurs. Sometimes it takes years for people to climb out of the habitual role, as you said, of blaming. We love to blame. It's so much easier than taking responsibility for our lives. So teaching people to get out of that blaming mentality and into the joyous living mentality is just a sheer pleasure for me. It's really my what I'm dedicated to doing. And our center is dedicated to that also. So everything that we do there, all the classes, all the concerts, all the art shows, the activities, are all dedicated to, as our organization said in a reason for being, awakening humanity to its spiritual magnificence. So that's what we're about.
That's tremendous. Now, if you'll look at the banner underneath here, it has the webpage address for Reverend Kathleen Center. It has their phone number so that you can give them a call. But once again, what is your physical address there?
It's 117 South Locust Street in downtown Visalia. We're located between Main and Asequia Streets.
Okay. And 10:30 on Sunday,
Yes.
be there for an exciting, music-filled, uplifting spiritual experience. Kathleen, thank you so much for
Thank
being
you.
my guest today. This has been a wonderful visit. Thank you
It's my
again.
pleasure.
So, okay, well, it's that time once again that we are, well, you know, it amazes me that that we go through this time so darn fast. But anyway, if you enjoyed our show, and I'm assuming you have enjoyed it because you're still watching, you can support us, and I want to thank the people that have supported us. There is a link on the Central Valley Talk webpage that says contribute, and you can go there for as little as $1, or you can contribute more. Just make sure that you notate that it is going to New Thought Talk. And if you'd like to, you can go to the Madera Spiritual Awareness webpage and contribute there. Our webpage address is Madera, Madera, SAC for Spiritual Awareness Center.com, and there's a donation page. And once again, on that page, you can donate. You can do a one-time donation. You can do $1 a day donation. You can do multiple donations. But if you're donating and tithing to this particular show, please make sure that you make note of it so that we can credit it accordingly. It's important that this word gets out. There's people out there today that are victims of the economy, they're victims of relationship, they're victims of many things, and the truth is they don't have to be a victim to anything, because there is a presence, there is a power in the universe, there is something that is so much more empowering, and it is available to each and every one of us when we realize it and we open ourselves up to it. And that's what this teaching does, is it helps people open themselves up to it. Now, if you happen to be at some distance, you're not here locally where you can visit Reverend Kathleen at the Spiritual Awareness Center in Visalia, you can go online. There is a link there. It's called findacenter.com, and it's got a world map. You click on the particular country that you're from, and it will take you to a link that will bring you to the center of a New Thought Center that is near to you. If you can't get to a center, there is newthoughtlibrary.com. You can go there and you can read New Thought books written by many of our founding authors and philosophers. And so I'm getting the time's up notice. So as we close out today, let me tell you and let me share with you. May the light of God surround you. May the love of God enfold you. May the power of God protect you and the presence of God watch over you. For truly, wherever you are, God is and all is well. Make it a great week, and thank you.
CentralValleyTalk.com